I used to think I was just I don't know, I guess I thought I was just gonna live in my mom's basement forever, and then that didn't work out, and I ended up living in somebody else's basement, and that just made me feel bad
Mhm.
for a
Yeah.
list of reasons. And then I moved out here, and I've noticed, especially this last week, that I'm really finally starting to heal from everything that happened.
And it took a while to heal, you know? I knew that once you got your own house, it would slowly start to get better and you would slowly start to heal. And, you know, just talking to you over the last month, like, I can just tell that you're happier, you know? You're finally, like, in a place that you want to be.
Yeah, even though it's not really the place I expected.
Alright, everyone, so today we have my good friend, Toby Beans. And Toby is awesome. We met, like, at the end of 2022, I think. Toby became a client. I was Toby's life coach. We became really good friends through that process and after the process. And Toby's came a long ways. And Toby wants to share how far they've came. So, Toby, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me on your show today, Nick. I kind of wish it was better outside so I could show you some of my progress, but when we started out, I was living in a basement and didn't have windows. And now I have a lot of windows and dogs and ducks and cats and a lot of potatoes that I probably shouldn't have ordered too many of, but I've got a whole little farm life that I've started now. I've decided to call it Menace Acre Farm. Um,
Which is
you've
perfect for
seen
you.
It is. You've seen Gary the Duck and his defiant duckness. Um, and I'm kinda I don't know, you've been talking about me getting into a podcast for a while, and I just started with the duck now that I've gotten kind of out of my abusive situation, which we don't necessarily need to go into all that. We can focus on the good stuff.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, when we met, it was rough. You were dealing with a lot, and as you took steps to slowly better your circumstances, and look at where you're at now.
I never thought I'd be this far. I'm now collecting colleges like they're Pokemon badges,
Yeah,
and I owned a house before the age of 30, which for a lot of millennials is kind of a big deal.
yeah, and I know that you struggle with a disability yourself. Do you want to talk about that?
I forget about it a lot. I think ever
Like
since you
you
and
did
I met,
before. Hmm.
I did not before. Before, I kind of thought I was just going to be hindered by my disabilities. Mind you, I think I was diagnosed with the seizure condition that I have, which is called psychogenic non-epileptic seizures, which is a stress-based seizure condition. And I think I was diagnosed with that very shortly before I met you, and I did not do well with that diagnosis. I thought it was the absolute end of the world. I thought, I was never gonna get over having seizures. Um, I thought I was never gonna drive, which I don't know if I told you or not, but I should be driving here this year, actually. We figured out a vehicle, we gotta get it insured, I gotta go actually take my driver's test and everything. Um, and I haven't had a seizure in probably, I don't know, about a year. And it used to be I couldn't go a week. I used to think it was kind of ruling my life. And then gradually over time through that, I also kind of got a little worse with my autism since I stopped taking meds, which was actually better for me. Um, I I don't know, seizures kind of changed a lot. It changed a lot of my perspective, and it started with the doom and the gloom, and then I met you and started talking. Um, you were the first person ever to respond to a comment that I made on a video and actually be sincere. You were like, "Hey, if you need help, I'll help you." And I was like, "All right, I'll bite. We'll figure this out." Then it was just finishing up high school, getting into college, increasing my credit, which a lot of the things that I was doing were things that people would tell you if you're an autistic person you can't do. If you're autistic, you can't get a job. I have a job now. I'm a tutor. I tutor children. That's still weird to me. My one kid is doing an excellent job. We're doing, things catered to children's disabilities. I work for a nonprofit organization called Learn to Be, and a lot of the children that go to the Learn to Be are disabled in like learning disabilities, ADHD, bipolar, autism, like I have. And I noticed as soon as I joined that a lot of those kids didn't have intervention at all in their lives. So I've kind of tried to find ways that I could help other tutors to teach the students better, or ways that I could integrate some of my psychology knowledge, since most of my colleges are psychology. Um, I'm actually getting my master's at Southern New Hampshire University in psychology, and then I started in what is it? It's a bachelor's in business. So SNHU is a master's in psychology with a minor in business, and then I started another degree that's a bachelor's in business and an associate's in AI, so that I could try to use my varying degrees to come up with a new solution for psychology that could be more person driven,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can kind of take out some of the problems, which I never would have thought I could do any of this a couple of years ago before you and I started talking.
Yeah.
I used to think I was just, I don't know, I guess I thought I was just going to live in my mom's basement forever. And then that didn't work out, and I ended up living in somebody else's basement. And that just made me feel bad
Mm-hmm.
for a
Yeah.
list of reasons. And then I moved out here, and I've noticed, especially this last week, that I'm really finally starting to heal from everything that happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it took a while to heal, but you know, I knew that once you got your own house, it would slowly start to get better, and you would slowly start to heal. And you know, just talking to you over the last month, like I can just tell that you're happier. You know, you're finally like in a place that you want to be.
Yeah, even though it's not really the place I expected. And ironically, the place I came from, I found out, I don't know if I ever told you the story about my mom adopting me, but she had adopted me from a small city that I didn't know until I had to use it as verification for my Social Security for my disability paperwork. And she had written me this letter that I had found after she passed away, that was talking about when she was going to the courthouse and she was going to go meet my birth mother, and they were going to talk about the adoption and everything. And that ended up being the day that I was born. And she wrote a letter about driving past this building, and she said it was a dress shop, and it was called Morgan's, which is my previous name, and she just absolutely loved that name, and she suggested it, and it was this huge big thing. And her and my dad used to always have this argument that it was a vacuum store. And turns out it was an appliance repair shop. So actually, neither of them was right, but my dad was closer. And I now live right down the road from it, within walking distance. Every time I want to go get Pizza Hut, it's right next door to the Pizza Hut, which I love that Pizza Hut. And I'm kind of glad that I've distanced myself from the name of appliance repair store. Um, Nothing against the appliance repair store, or my mom, for that matter. She's just a little silly in the head. I knew exactly what went through her head the first time I walked down that road. There is a dress shop at the beginning of the drive called Aubrey's Closet. It's got a cute sign on it, and my mom worked for a sign company at one point. And she probably saw the sign, really liked the font that it was in, and then saw the name that she actually wanted just immediately afterwards. And her brain probably crossed the two around because she was silly like that. And that's how I got my name, even though my dad also wanted to name me that after Morgan Fairchild. And then I ended up getting Toby from somebody in high school, after the anime Naruto, which I then later changed to the current spelling of ridiculous. Tohbii. And then added beans because I've got a million animals and I see toe beans. That's this is the whole story of my name. I
Well,
changed that after I met you even.
yep, yep. So yeah, I mean, you've come so far, and it's cool to look back on our friendship because at first you were a client and I was helping you. And then after that, we were friends for a while. We just talked like daily. And then, because you have your background in psychology, you became my therapist. And we did that for a while. So it's just really cool. Like, you needed me to help you get out of what you were in. And then you turned around and helped me get through what I was going through.
I think that's kind of also the heart of what I wanna do with my new podcast, if I do a podcast, and,
Not
I
if,
think kind of
when.
the heart well, I mean, if I do a podcast part, I might just end up having talking to animals. That seems substantially easier. Good morning, Gary. It's gonna be a morning series with
I,
Gary the duck.
I've been watching it every day, and it's awesome.
This morning, he insisted on going out, and the wind is really bad, so I had to put him back, and he was not happy with that at all.
Wasn't.
He did enjoy his morning egg, though, and almost ate my hand. He was a little crazy, which I think is kind of just the nice like, it's nice to think I actually drove past where I was living when we met, um, yesterday, and I was thinking to myself, "Man, how far have I come from living in abuse and basements and kind of horrible, unlivable conditions to owning my own house and having a pet duck that I feed an egg to every morning, or starting a show that I wanna do, or, I don't know, fighting for my own justice or fighting for the justice of others because you've inspired me to get into disability advocacy in my own area, and I've met some cool people, and I've discovered a lot about the law. I've discovered a lot about advocation. I've discovered a lot about my own rights, which a lot of people I don't think understand or even know that they have rights, um, which is kind of cool. And then it's cool to think about how far both you and I could take that in terms of disability advocacy, not just for our own respective states, but anywhere. Because we both have a platform. Well, you have a bigger platform than I do, but you have a platform where you can actually reach people and especially disabled people where we can talk about the abuse we receive and how common it is and how horrible it is sometimes and why it should change. Or I was doing a psychology paper the other day about the poverty level and they were saying that extreme poverty was considered oh gosh, I think it was anything below 1,192. Don't quote me on that. I don't know exact numbers without pulling up the paperwork. But it was, like, way less than $2,000 a month is considered to be extreme poverty, but if you consider it from just a real world standpoint, extreme poverty is a lot more than that.
Mhm.
My
Yeah.
disability payments are 1,195 a month. That does not pay my monthly mortgage, that does not pay my electric, that does not pay any of my basic needs, and that's coming from one person who's on the higher end of the Social Security spectrum. Most people on Social Security are even further in poverty,
Mhm.
and then they're trying to say that we are in the best economy we are now, where the federal poverty rate is considered I think it was like 6% of people are living in poverty right now,
Yep.
despite the fact that if you were to actually ask people directly, they would tell you that probably about 75% of America feels like they're living in poverty right now.
Yep.
And so it's kind of just a big difference between lived experiences and then the actual statistics that they release, which are oftentimes not true.
Mhm. Yeah, and the thing that I don't like the most about that space is okay. if you need disability, you don't get paid enough to really live a even decent life. You don't get enough. And then if you try to get a job, so many employers won't even give you a chance. And that's the part that I want to change is where, businesses are more inclusive because, like, for me, I worked for 18 years in the waste removal industry. And no, I could not do everything that somebody else could, but I was really good at specific things. So every employer that I had just made sure that I did those specific things, and they would get somebody else to help me with the rest of it. So I was very fortunate that I had awesome employers, and I wish more employers were like that because, like, my strengths that I have, like drive, driving and operating machinery, my old employer will still call me to this day when they have to do something kind of like, let's say, precise or weird, like, you know, backing a big trailer into a little tiny door. He'll call me to do it before he'll do it himself because he knows I'll get it in there without hitting anything. So he trusts me more than he trusts himself, and it's like I have that strength, and businesses need people like that. So they just need to give people a chance.
I think a lot of employers tend to hear that there's a disability and they consider it a liability.
Yep,
Like,
exactly.
if they were to give you a chance, then they would be liable if you did anything wrong. But at
Hmm.
the end of the day, most disabled people, especially people with autism or um any kind of a mental disability where you can't socially understand things, but you understand things a lot better. I think ADHD kind of does it a little bit too, but a lot of them are substantially more intelligent. They just
Hmm.
can't function in social settings.
Yeah,
Like
and
me, I'm surprised I'm doing good in tutoring. I think a lot of it's because most of my students are neurodivergent and I can understand them, so I can give them help that most tutors would not be able to provide them with.
yep, exactly. And you've taught me so much about autism, you know, and how different everybody is that has autism, you know, and it's really helped me with what I do and helped me communicate with autistic people a lot better, you know.
I think that's probably the biggest challenge. At least in my experience being autistic, the biggest challenge is other people communicating with me, not so much me communicating with them. I seem to communicate pretty well.
Hmm.
I don't make eye can't contact very well, which I still do with the camera. I still can't make eye contact with the camera because this feels weird still. Even though I'm not looking into anybody's actual eyes, I'm like looking into my own eyes and it hurts.
Yep, everyone, this is Toby.
Hi, I'm Toby C. Beans. I
This is why I like
certified
Toby.
menace.
Me and Toby laugh on literally every call that we're on.
I don't
I
know
don't.
if you saw my introduction to my page, but at the end of it I actually specifically say, "Come on down to Menace Acres," except not actually because I don't want you here. Even if you're invited, please leave. Please don't perceive me. Goodbye.
Yeah, that sounds like you. Yep, that's awesome. So, you came a long way, and you you're doing so good. Like, I'm so proud of you. I know that you're proud of yourself. For the people listening that might be in a similar circumstance that you were, what is some advice that you can give them?
Jeez. Um, I want to give advice not like you gave advice while we were doing your therapy, but that's like the only thing that's coming to mind is like the one biggest thing that stopped me from doing anything was I was lying to myself the whole time. And so I just kind of think, quit lying to yourself, which isn't going to make sense right now. It's going to make sense once you actually do stop lying to yourself. I don't know how to say that in a better way. Maybe, I don't know. Just explaining it like that, like, I was genuinely I was just lying to myself. I kept saying, "I'm never gonna be able to get out of this," and I'd rethink it and be like, "No, I am pretty smart. I do have the capacity. There are laws. The laws aren't really functioning in my favor, and they really aren't going to, primarily because I have a disability, and everybody's gonna use that as an excuse to discriminate against me. I kinda just have to get over that and fight against that, which is what anybody in the same position 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago would have had to do as well. America, unfortunately, hasn't changed a whole lot, but we are more progressive than we used to be. So we're getting to a point where a disabled person can stand up and say, hey, this really isn't appropriate. You can start complaining frequently. One thing I hear more than anything is that I'm a squeaky wheel. Be a squeaky wheel. If you think you can't do something, be a squeaky wheel. Just complain constantly to anybody. In my situation, I'm being abused by the trustee of my mom's estate, and I just keep telling people I am being abused by the trustee of my mom's estate until somebody finally starts listening to me and is like, "Hi, I'm an official person. You said you are being abused by the trustee of your mom's estate. Let's see if we can do something about that." The same thing goes for being abused by a medical professional. Same thing goes for being held against your will in a hospital, which is not legal. A lot of people don't seem to understand that, but it's not legal. You can't ask to leave. They can argue it all they want, but what are they going to do? Keep you there against your will? The only people that can do that are jails, and they can only do that when they have a court order.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, you used to say you can't a lot. I remember that. You thought you couldn't do a lot of things, and I kept telling you, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can." And finally,
You and my therapist.
you started believing it, and then taking action, and you're getting shit done, and
A
you've
lot of it
gotten a lot done.
I just kind of thought you guys were crazy. Like, nah, 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 you can't do that. A lot of times you can. I think actually a lot of times, I was mistaken about something. When Case told me to go back to high school, Case is my therapist, because even I need a therapist. I said, Case, will you shut up if I go back?
This episode is sponsored by A Topic AI for Opportunity. A Topic is an AI-powered opportunity discovery platform, and the best word that I can describe it is ChatGPT. But instead of giving you information, it gives you real people you should be connecting with. Whether you're looking for clients, partners, investors, job prospects, or high intent leads, Topic makes it simple. You just type what you're looking for, and the AI thinks through thousands of signals, and then surfaces verified prospects with context, not random lists. It even helps you follow up, nurture conversations, and track your pipeline. What I love about Atopic and why I'm excited to have them as a sponsor is that they're solving the biggest problem in business growth, finding the right people at the right time. If you haven't yet, go to atopic.com and try it. It's one of the smartest tools out there for people trying to grow their business.
Back to high school. I'll figure it out if you shut up about it. He said, yeah, sure. Figure it out though. And I'm like, all right. So I went and I found a high school that I could join online for free at 2 in the morning at the age of 23 or 24 or something. I finished it. I don't know how, outside of just wanting everybody to stop being annoying about it. And then I was like, man, that's kind of crazy how that works when you like actually go and do something. And I was like, all right, I'm going to apply for college without my high school diploma in hand. And I'm just going to see what happens. And then I got accepted to college and I started college and I was like, hey, as stressful as this is, I kind of really like college. So I joined another college and I really liked that college also. So I joined another college and another college and now I'm in 5 colleges.
Just
Um,
so everyone knows, you are constantly doing schoolwork.
if I'm not doing my schoolwork, I'm now getting paid to do somebody else's schoolwork, except I'm not actually doing their schoolwork, I'm teaching them. But yeah, that's kind of how bad it got. You guys were like, "Hey, you could just go finish high school, right?" And I was like, "Nah, nah, 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 nah. I don't want to get a GED. I don't think I can do that. I'm too disabled. The world won't accommodate me." I think that was the biggest one, thinking that the world won't accommodate me and then finding out it will, whether it wants to or not.
Yep, exactly. And then you went on to get a job. Like, this isn't the first job that you've had since we've met.
This is the
And,
first job that I've had.
well, okay, you were
Period.
volunteering, weren't you?
I
Is that what it was?
Sort of. I didn't professionally volunteer. I was there. The bus wasn't gonna pick me up for another hour and a half, and they needed help. So I went to a domestic violence shelter. They had invited me for Christmas. I volunteered my time for an hour and a half to set up a little display stand and take a picture. And they really appreciated that and invited me back to volunteer, but I needed to get my license first.
Mm, okay. I knew there was something else that you were doing a
Yeah,
while back.
I was gonna volunteer more, but I ended up not volunteering, primarily because more stuff blew up with the trust, and that got messy.
Yep, yep. But, look at where you are now. You know,
In a house that I
you're
own,
own house.
that's mine, that I get to call Menace Acre.
And it's a nice house. And you have dogs and cats and ducks and
One of the
uh,
dogs might be a horse, and two of the cats might be dogs.
one of the dogs is the size of a horse. So yes.
She's actually bigger than I am now.
And I remember when she was a puppy. She was so little.
Yeah, she was about this big. She
Yeah.
was a teeny tiny little itty bitty thing, and now she's huge. She hit the, you can kind of see the paw
Oh,
print.
I see the paw print. Yeah.
Yep.
That
She punched my window.
That's awesome.
She does that. She's actually even punched a hole through the door upstairs,
Oops,
um,
jeez.
because she doesn't know how big she is.
Mhm. Yep.
But she's huge.
Oh, she is. So,
And then I'm not even scared of the duck anymore, which I don't know if you remember when I first moved out here and I first got the ducks, I was terrified of them.
yep, you were. But I'm more. Now you're just like, Gary, stop your shit. Do what I said.
Kind of. Except sometimes he wins.
He does.
Oh, hi. Did you want to say hi? Come here, Stinky.
Hi, Stinky.
This is Teakle. Let's have with Teakle. Come here. He's got a smoker's perk.
So, trying to figure out how to word this. What are like the top 3 things that I helped you achieve that you're truly grateful for?
Better mindset is the absolute first one, and that came to mind immediately. Um, say you kind of helped me achieve happiness just in general, because I probably would not have gotten to where I am without a better mindset. And look at this. Look at this guy. He's so happy. He's getting his pets. He's interrupting absolutely everything because he's a cat and doesn't care. What would the third thing be? Well, I gotta say the abilities are infinite. That one's constantly in my head. If I ever feel like something's getting me down or I feel too autistic or I feel, like my seizures are just inhibiting my life, I'll remind myself that my abilities are infinite and do it anyways.
That I really like that because, that's why we have that slogan is just to remind people that they can do more than they think.
Absolutely. I kind of started with my own slogan, uh, that I I don't know, I think it's on the Infinite Beanstalk page right now, but I was going through some things with Google trying to figure out what a good slogan would be for mine, and it came up with "The truth is in the water, the talk is the stuff." Like, the strength of talking about the problem is your beanstalk, and I was like, "Hey, that's kinda cool," so I'm kinda running with that for now.
Awesome. That's really awesome. Well, you were doing so good. You're making a difference in the world, and you're gonna accomplish great things. Like, I know that for a fact.
You've been saying that since day one, and I keep arguing with you, and I think we've come to a point where I need to stop because I already have. I got a house, 5 colleges, and got a working position. I even found a working position that I can do while on disability that doesn't sacrifice any of my benefits.
Good. See? I just gotta keep telling you, and look at I proved myself so far.
I think I got cat hair everywhere now. I think that's probably been the most helpful thing is just having somebody in my corner reminding me that my disabilities don't inhibit me from doing everything. A lot of times, I think the things that make you feel so inhibited by a disability are the people around you, and you can change the people around you. You can say, "Hey, I'd like to speak with somebody else," or "I would not like this doctor to be in charge anymore." Or you can, walk away from family if you have to, if that's necessary.
Well, I
Um,
mean, look at the place you were living before. You were
yeah,
being abused, and honestly, you didn't know how bad it was. You couldn't see how bad it was, and I'm the one that kind of showed you how bad of a situation you were in and you're kind of like, "Oh shit," you know. And
I think it took a lot of people to explain that to me
yeah,
before I finally understood.
but
A lot
you
of people, and actually, ironically, this is the 1-year anniversary of me being thrown into a wall. So, and that was kind of
I
it. You were
remember
like,
that.
"Toby, how much more telling you about this do you need to have before you actually get away from this person?"
Mhm. Yeah, and you thought there was no way out. You thought you were stuck there.
Yeah, and then I ended up being the one getting us both out, and then I got him out.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
So
'Cause
there's certainly,
yeah.
especially for women who feel like they can't leave domestic violence, there's ways other than just the ways that you think. You don't have to take the traditional ways out.
No. But you got out, and I'm so happy that you did, and
Me too. I'm
good.
doing so much better. I get to live my life on my farm and plant my potatoes and carrots and onions and Bombay's lick in the window again. That's why we're called Menace Acre Farm, everybody. Oh, I was gonna show you. Oh, can you see him?
Yep, kinda.
He's just licking the window.
Yep. My cats do the same thing.
He'll just sit there and do it for hours, drives me up a wall. But you know what? If my cat's happy having a window to lick, it's worth the egregious amount of money I had to spend to buy a house.
Well, Toby, I'm so grateful that we're friends. You know, we we snap every day, and we need to start meeting like this more because we used to do this once a week, and then our lives both got busy. I'm constantly busy, so but let's make sure that we do this more often.
Start doing an infinite beanstalk monthly check-in,
There we go.
combo, podcast, extravaganza. That's a lot of words.
Let's
Those are
do
the
it.
exciting ones, though.
Yeah, we could call it that. Who cares?
Include a podcast episode with Gary the Duck. And
Yeah,
just sit there and listen to him go quack quack quack.
it,
Gary's cool.
it's really fun when he's just mad at you because he like does a different waddle when he's
He
irritated.
does.
Yeah,
He does. He does kind of a little stompy waddle when he's upset.
yeah.
Otherwise,
So funny.
he walks like a happy little guy and shakes his little tail feathers.
Yep, yep.
I'm kind of excited for when we get new ducks in April, about Easter time. We'll get new ducks, and I'll start being a duck breeder preservationalist
Ooh,
of some sort.
there you go. That would be a interesting thing to I learn.
Yeah, I'm gonna hopefully kind of include my journey on my new YouTube page and my new Facebook page for my farm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting pepper seeds right now, white pepper seeds. They're gonna be my inside peppers.
There you go.
Maybe I'll start with showing how the pepper seeds are doing.
Awesome. That sounds
Just start
good.
small.
All right, one more question. What does your abilities are infinite mean to you?
Um, it's the little nagging voice in the back of my head that tells me that I'm being dumb every time I'm being dumb. And it's your voice every single time reminding me, and remember, your abilities are infinite. I'm like, oh, I didn't want to remember that, but thanks, Nick.
You're welcome. See?
Kind of hope other people get that stuck in the back of their head too, because it's helpful. It's
Mm-hmm.
annoying, but it's helpful.
Yeah, I agree. And the same thing happened to me when I feel like I don't want to do something. And I
You
think
just
about,
get stuck in the back of your
yeah,
head.
I'm like, I gotta live by the words that I preach every day. So, and it
Me
helps a lot.
too. It
It helps a
does.
lot,
It helps to think about, I guess it kinda just helps to have that reminder to yourself that like, in my circumstance, I have to regularly remind myself, "Nah, if I can get into college and I can get my credit up as high as I did and I can buy a house on absolutely $0 and I can live my life and not lose my house, um, I think I'm good." I think pretty much anything I feel like doing at this point, I can figure it out one way or another.
yeah, for sure. I know that for a fact. All right, Toby, thank you for being on the show.
Yeah! Hopefully, we can do this again soon.
Yeah.
Eh,
If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit. Because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here, so let's just get it out there by word of mouth, help more people. All right, everyone. Remember, your abilities are infinite.